make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It is
Force.
very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and of course my producer tonight, the sensational, none other than Mr. Craig Gibson. We're coming to you live via Love and 97 FM. This is Tuesday, people, the 4th day of February 2025. And if it's a Tuesday, it's maritime. Tick, 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 tick. Matters. We encourage you to tune in with us if you want to hear this particular show. You can tune in on our page, YouTube page, Maritime Matters Bahamas. We encourage that if you're driving and tuned in with us, please do so cautiously and ensure to take your time in getting wherever it is you are trying to get safely. As the saying goes, drive to arrive alive. Our sponsors for tonight's show, One-on-One Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy for all your medical needs. Check out my little cousin Shantia McBride and her lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy in Nassau and Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site oneononepharmacy.com. That's One-on-One Pharmacy, all lowercase, all one word, .com. The 3 locations are East Street South. And of course, when you go in East Street South, you gotta go and find Joy. That's the pharmacist. Tell Joy hello for me, because you know Joy know how to fix you up. Well, she fix me up all the time. I might as well tell you, little flu, little this, little that. I know she can do nothing for us who get old, but she could try. Joy know it all. Tell Joy hi from Maritime Matters. We also located on Charles Sanders Highway. And when you go on Charles Sanders Highway, ask for my little cousin Stella. Stella's the one who run all the money. You know? When you're running them kind of business, you need somebody you can trust to run your money. So Shani say, Stella, you deal with the money. So Ansela say, okay, no problem. So tell Stella hello when you go in that one on Charles Sanders Highway. And of course, the one in Freeport under a different name, Island Care Pharmacy. That's my big cousin Steph. She run things up in there. Steph, you know when the people come and say, Maritime Matters send them, give them that little something off. A little thing, you know, and you know how we roll. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. Well, you know who in the office in Nassau. We got my sister Cathy. She run things, although she's trying to play like, I's only Glenn sister. Ain't nobody know my name. But that's how Cathy's roll. But guess what? She run things up in there, right? We got the lady Dawn Simonette who runs everything in the security department. And of course, my brother-in-law, Mario Campos, who runs everything in the electronic, etc., etc. Fix all the cars. That's how Mario roll. And we got in Freeport, our satellite station in Freeport is run by none other than Mrs. Lydia Henfield. Used to be Lydia Ferguson. Now Lydia Henfield. She runs everything up in our Freeport office. So if you need maritime security services, hit us up. Either Nassau or in Freeport, and we good to go. And guess what? We can make sure you straight. That's how BMCs carry on, eh? Good night, Auntie May! Hey, Auntie May! Our number 1 fan on Maritime Matters. I say good night to you, honey. Auntie May right up there in Freeport. 91 years old and going strong, people. That's how Auntie May carrying on. And she always tuned in to her week don't be complete unless Maritime Matters come up. Boy, you know when I hear something, I say, oh, yeah, I say, but I made something coming on. Like, that's my girl. She is the number 1 fan for Maritime Matters. You're listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05. That's 5:05 p.m. For those who don't do the military thing, those who don't do the maritime thing, 17:05 is 5:05 p.m., right? Every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. The purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime fields. The phone number to call us, should you wish to get in on the discussion during the show, is 326-8255. That's 326-8255. To hear a replay of this show or any of our previous shows, simply hit us up at any time via our YouTube page. That would be Maritime Matters Bahamas. Just go to YouTube on your device and type in the search box in YouTube, Maritime Matters Bahamas. Now 3 words, just like I love you, Maritime Matters Bahamas. And you will see a litany of all of our previous shows, 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Wait, next show, next month. Actually, this show, and how we forget that? This show marks 3 years since Maritime Matters. We starting our 3rd year. We just finished 2 full years, people. That's how we roll it. So, let's talk maritime. Tonight we have a litany of hot topics to bring alive. We're going to dive, we're going to dare to walk the plank, proverbially. You're going to walk the plank. You know, that's to walk the plank when you're when you're on them ships back in the day. They used to make the pirates used to make the slaves walk the plank. In other words, the ship bouncing up and down, and you got to go out on that piece of wood. If you fall, you know shit. Them sharks waiting for you. So we're going to walk the plank a bit tonight and divert a little bit away from the traditional maritime topics. But as always, there will be a few maritime discussions to be had. Topics for this show, therefore, are as follows. We talked about it last week. We'll talk about it again this week and probably even next week. Well, maybe not next, but next month for sure, eh? Cruise ship ports to facilitate the emerging cruise ship market. What did we discuss? We discussed how MSC converted Ocean Key from a bulk facility to a passenger receiving facility. They did a lot of things to pull that together. It cost a couple $, couple good bucks. Now they had to do much dredging because they always had a deep water channel for the bulk carrier to come in. They had to do, the Key really used to just use a ragonite. They used to mine a ragonite, bring it on the Key, stockpile it, and then by a conveyor belt system, take it from the Key onto the bulk carrier when it coming in. And then the ship is carried around. They used to have ships about twice a month. They never have that much aragonite ships, right? But they were huge. And they would have like ships like twice a month. And they going all over the place to carry the aragonite that are mined right there in the Bimini chain around Ocean Key. So they now converted that to a passenger MSC. That's their pet. I cruise on some MSC ships, right? And they always bragging about Ocean Key facility because that's the only one where they own in the world. Facility that MSC actually owns. So you know all of the ship, every opportunity going there because when that ship go there, you know they're making money. They got everything covered because everybody on the Key works for them. All the stores on the Key is owned by them. So how they can go wrong? All the jets, wait, we got to do some of that jet ski thing now. They ain't supposed to own no jet ski. They ain't supposed to own no parasail. They ain't supposed to own no non-motorized equipment. And we always say we got to do some of that. Anyway, I digress a little bit, right? But we talking about how MSC converted that ship from a bulk carrier to a cruise ship reception facility. And we also saying that Morgan's Bluff, right there in North Andres, is ripe and ready for the same thing to happen. Because Morgan's Bluff is a bulk carrier facility. They wasn't doing a ragonite or sand or rock. What they were doing? Bulk water. Morgan's Bluff is where all, at least 3/4 of the water that Nassau used to use back in the day came in through Morgan's Bluff. They had the big water barge, the water tanker, the Dolphin, the bigger one, the big one called the Titus. They had, before them too, they had a smaller one called the Mini Lily. They had a lot of badges, the Black Point, the this, the that. And they used to be all through the night, all through the day. You hear one of them entering harbor to get to the dock to offload their water. Then they go right back to North Andros, fill up again, come back and offload. They had like 5 and 6 operating at the same time, eh? So Andros used to supply Nassau with water for decades. This ain't no for years, for decades. Until technology provided the path for Nassau to convert salt water by reverse osmosis or desalination, convert it into fresh water from the ocean. So they found a cheaper way to do that. That technology developed until converting water from the sea was cheaper than barging water in from Andros. And then there were a lot of times when the weather get rough, the barges couldn't move. So Nassau used to get low on water. And those who was around from the days when I was around from the 80s and 90s, we didn't know when there were water shortages and stuff. Water got to turn off certain times and water pressure low. That's because they had problems with that barging that water across. And then sometimes when the big barges will break down, they outfoot, they got to go to dry dock, they got to do this. So we know. We finished with them days. But what we're not finished with is converting that facility to receive cruise ships. Because it is such a low-hanging fruit, as my good buddy Herbie would say most of the time. That's a low-hanging fruit. There's no reason why we shouldn't have done that already. And I have to support Herbie on that. There's no reason. I mean, except for the fact that we are a lousy bunch of people. Our government is a lousy bunch of government. Right? All on them. I don't know FNM or P. I'm not talking about the administration. The PLP administration in now, we know they lousy. The FNM administration was in before that, we know they was lousy. The PLP, they was all lousy. They were all lousy. When Mr. Gisson called me, tell me, you can't say they was all, it gotta be they were all nasty, right? They were lousy. Well, they're nasty, they're good people. But they're just a lousy bunch because of none of them, up to now, could have seen the necessity to convert. You know how long Morgan's Bluff was sitting there doing nothing? You know how long they started barging water in from Andros? We had cruise ships build all kind of facilities after that for their private use. And we, the government, can't build up one facility to receive at least 2 cruise ships every day. And it ain't going to cost that much money compared to what it'll cost if you have to start from scratch. You don't have to pay half the amount of money you used to pay. And of course, we watched Disney create Castaway Key, which was called a key. That was a drug dealing key back in the 80s. Had airstrip, all kind of things. I remember we going and we actually pour the concrete poles with steel in them on the airstrip so that when nobody there, no drug plane could be using it to land drugs. Right? This all, of course, this after 1980, after the Commission of Inquiry, when everybody found out they had stacks and stacks of drugs coming through that key. Right? So they couldn't do it no more. And then every now and then, Defense Force, I was in Defense Boat Captain, we'll take a boat up there and we would just search the entire key. But they ain't gonna do that no more because Disney there now. Disney bought that key. And Disney made a dock on that key that protects the ship from the ocean when it's in. So they ain't gonna drop no anchor and ferry people into the... No, they go straight to the dock. And we see they doing the same thing with Lighthouse Point. See, Disney ain't no tendering. Disney want to go to dock wherever they want. So they buy Lighthouse Point, they put the dock there, and they're just about ready. And the big cruise ships Disney have will be able to go straight into the dock. And when they reach the dock, what happens? When they reach the dock, the people on board are in there landing on their turf. They own all the buildings. They own all the so people who selling the drinks and the this and that, they pay in Disney. Or Disney have them selling it for them. But you know that ain't cheap, right? So this is what these cruise ship facilities, cruise ship or cruise lines do when they actually own their port facility. They make sure they make a lot of money by people coming offshore. And people may think, yeah, well, I don't want to spend no money on the ship. Let me go ashore. But ashore is like the ship because the ship owns the shore in that area where they are. And then there are many other places around the world. I know we've been to, I've been on a cruise to, what the place named? Turks, Grand Turk. And the same thing happened. When you come off that ship and you walk ashore, you got Margaritaville and this nice shopping plaza and this and that. And it's very nice. But you know how far you are from where the local people live? You can't even see it. You got to hop in a taxi and drive in 20, 30 minutes before you could reach in the town where the people live. So what Carnival has done is they had encapsulated that area well away from the people. And they bring 2 ships there every day. And they make all the money. Mind you, the people making some money, but nothing like what they would have made if their government had put them docks in. Any ship could have used it. And they could have put their own buildings there. So I'm saying all that to say that what we are going to do, or what we need to do in our country, is build docks that will be open up to any cruise line. Because you Carnival can't go to Disney Key. Disney can't go to Half Moon Key that Carnival owns. RCL can't go to Stirrup Key that Norwegian Cruise Line owns. Vice versa. They got to go to their own private key. So when you see them buy a key or a spot on the land, you see Disney, Carnival now got that spot on the land in Freeport. That ain't no key, that on land. It's well away from everybody. But boy, when they finish with that, that could be a thing to unfold. I tell you that. Excuse me, I must need some water again. That could be a thing to unfold. But we don't, I have no problems with all those cruise lines buying, purchasing areas and making it their own private stop. They can do that all over the Bahamas. I don't care. What I do have a problem with is our government having ownership of only one. Well, I mean, they had ownership until they leased that out to Global Port Holdings. I thought that was an unnecessary move because Global Port Holdings now, half of the revenue that is made from those ships utilizing that port facility, it's going to Turkey. Because that's where the hub is in Turkey, and they got ports in Antigua and Barbuda. You got ports in a couple other parts of the Caribbean, eh? But the country only getting half of the money. But if we had owned that now, that was us. And not only that was ours, that was being full almost daily before they bought it. So they buy it and bring more ships there. No, they buy it and they managing the money and selling half out of this country to Turkey. That's what they did. And, sometimes you look at it and say, do we have any sense? And when I say the government lousy, you always be like, oh, you can't be talking about our government like that. I don't know PLP and FNM and DNA and coalition, I talking about the government of the Bahamas over the years have been lousy. And if you believe they wasn't lousy, call me. Or the number to call is 328-326-8255. 326-82. Call me and let me know why you think over the years our governments were not lousy. Because I still say they're lousy. Now, we got election next year. And I don't do much politics. Oh, we can talk a little bit of politics. No, we ain't talking about no politics. We can talk about some situations, right? But next year we have election. Now, we don't know if the current administration is going to retain or another administration is going to come in or the independents will build up most of the seats. We don't know what can happen over the next year, right? But no matter what happens, we need to find a way as a people to apply enough pressure to our government in the chair while they are in the chair. We can't be waiting every 5 years talking about, oh, they do what we want, we can change something. Hey, you change them and another one come and they can do what they want to do and they can do what you want to do. So how are you going to address this? You can let this run on for another 50 years? No. What we need to do as a people is we need to galvanize as a group and address things like why we don't have a dock at Morgan's Bluff. And we need to protest. And we need to do it in big numbers. At least I would say at least 10% of the country should be protesting, because this impacts every single island economy. The potential for this is that huge that it could make every island its own nation. And we need to move around the local government eventually anyway. And cause, do you know that the Bahamas, as we sit and how we spread out, is tantamount to the Eastern Caribbean as they sit and as they are spread out? Each one of our islands, our developed, our large islands, represent a country in the Eastern Caribbean. And most of our islands are larger than most of those countries in the Eastern Caribbean. So while we something like the US, right? In the sense that the United States, those of you who travel to the US, and I mean travel, you go from east to west and north and south, and you know how huge that place is, right? Every state could be a different country. So the only place in the world where you find so many different states, and each one of them could go off on their own and be a country, but they all speaking the same language. And they all ain't got the same slang. But you can almost tell an American when you hear an American, right? But now them said from Texas and certain parts, they got some Louisiana, they got some slang. You gotta listen good to say the Americans, right? But the reality is, when you look at Europe, because you know the United States is far bigger than the whole of Europe. And Europe is a place where a whole heap of different countries speaking different languages. That's the big difference between the United States and Europe. And the Middle East. Look how much different countries speaking different languages in the Middle East. And the Far East. Well, all of them is Chinese almost, but they got a lot of different languages. They all look like Chinese. So, my thing is, we in the Bahamas are spread out and speak Bahamian all over our islands. Whereas in the Eastern Caribbean, you got the Bayesians speaking Barbados, and you could tell them anywhere in the world. I like it because I lived there for 3 months. And once I hear Bayesian, you can try that slang. I know that slang. You got the Trinidadians who speak their own slang. Jamaicans speak their own. Well, they're not in the Eastern Caribbean, but they are. Caymanis, Antigua and Barbuda. You got St. Kitts, Martinique, French. You got so much different languages, but they all are spread out and scattered about just like us. But they have different countries, and not only have different countries, they all speak in their own tone of language. But we in the Bahamas don't have that problem, right? So I say, let each one of our island have a cruise ship port, and that cruise ship port will generate revenue for that island beyond belief. And then we can start talking about real, what you call it, the kind of government, real local government, eh? That's what we could do. Okay, so anyway, let me get off cruise ships because I could talk about this one forever. We've identified the places in the Bahamas where cruise ships could go. That's almost every island. Every island. We talk about Drake's Hill, which is an island, Stocking Island, Exuma, Hawks Nest Cat Island, Clarencetown, Long Island, Columbus Landing in Sansal, Port Nelson in Rumkey, Landrail Point in Crooked Island, Salina Point in Auckland, Betsy Bay in Maguana, Matutang in Inal. Well, and there are many, many more we can identify. But that's just a cuff of it. And when are we going to do it? When are we going to start protesting to our government without thinking about election? That we need this to happen like yesterday. Excuse me. I see they had over $200 million given to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, or around $200 million, to buy new ships and to develop some ports for those ships. And it wouldn't cost that amount of money to put a government cruise ship pier on every single island in this country. I see they have, well, I heard they have over 180 or so million, $180 million in consultancies. So if we could find that for consultancy, when we could find it to do some docks in our family islands, I don't think being out money, because that's more priority than these things, in my opinion. And if you feel different, please, 326-8255. Give me a call. Ready when you're ready. Now, another thing we want to talk about tonight is Porter's Key Dock. And see that? That's almost half of my time done gone. See, you see this how quick this has happened, right? Porter's Key Dock. And we want to talk about the status quo of Porter's Key Dock versus a PPP arrangement. Public-private partnership arrangement for Porter's Key Dock. Because look, like, only when we apply these PPP arrangements, things could change. Because see, when you put in a PPP to manage something, government hands off it. Government ain't running it no more. They can't go to the MP or the minister or whoever to say, oh, I ain't paying no money, but you can talk to the port controller because I still need to operate from the dock. I still carry my stuff so and so and so and so and so. No. You now dealing with that PPP who has a managing director or whatever the case may be, and he ain't out no prisoners. He got his tugboat waiting to carry you off there, and he ain't letting you come back if you ain't paying. You ain't getting no more free water and ain't paying. You ain't getting no more free dock space and ain't paying. You ain't sitting up on the dock no more for years and years and years and broke down and can't move. No, all that could change. As a matter of fact, you can't even drive on Porter's Key no more without going through security when we put this in place. So you can't come out there to drop dead. The people who dealing with conch, man, look here, we can get some badges to just carry your conch out in the ocean every day and just let them loose. I remember we bought a badge like that, or we were about to buy a badge like that when I was at the port. They had this badge that the bottom of the badge actually opens up. Well, you pull it first, and it drives out on the ocean over the bar, and the bottom opens up, and all the conch shells go in the ocean. You know how deep that ocean is? Them conch shell can't do nothing to the ocean that deep, right? But the badge ain't wait that long, or something going wrong. You know, we can't maintain nothing if it's government. So what we probably need to do is hire, again, a private entity to get a badge that can open up like that. And on a daily basis, the only job they got to do is tote the conch shell out, drop them in the water. Because conch shells are very heavy and hard to deal with. And to dump them, there's a lot of weight and all the rest of that. But the badge ain't feeling that. And it ain't costing that much. Because we still want our conch when we go with our crack conch and scotch conch and all kind of conch. We still want our conch. Conch salad going to bed, what you call it? The one with the pineapple and thing in it. What we call that? Anyway, you all know what I mean. We want all that. So when them conch shell pile up, we want to know they gone. We ain't got to worry about them no more. So if you have a PPP managing Porter's Key, we will have a situation where you can't even come out there to put nothing on a boat or to bring to go on a boat. Because all of those vessels out there will have a company over the hill somewhere where you could go and carry your goods, and they'll put it in a container. And when it's time for that boat to go, they'll bring the container there and put it straight on the boat. Because we ain't allow them to keep no containers on the dock. And if they have to keep a container on the dock, the amount of money it can cost them, they can happily take it over the hill and put it on their own facility. See, this is what we need to do at Porter's Key. If we're serious. And we can't be talking about, oh, you know, the government ain't doing that. Look here, let's put some pressure on them. I don't care which administration. We ain't going to wait till the election to put. We will put pressure now. So that's what we talk about when we talk about Porter's Key, the status quo as things are now, against or versus. If you put a public-private partnership management in place, and everything will clean up, that dock will start working extremely efficient. And then those boats that want to go directly to the States, and back, we may even decide to make them, they could even clear customs there. Well, I know they can clear customs, but I know they can leave there and go, because, you know, when APD was created, they said that no dock would be able to land goods from the States within, I think, 40 feet, 40 miles, I think, or 20 miles. I think 20 miles of Arawaki. So we can't touch that one. Next on our list. Boy, we get on this list quick, eh? But that's what it's all about. We want to talk about election. Protocol. Based on the Constitution, but not only election, but how we go about selecting the leader of our country. And how we go about selecting all the ministers in government in our country. And we know what the Constitution requires and what we're doing, but is that the best way to go? I know you all won't call on that one. You all like to talk politics, but this is the little politic thing we can talk about a little bit. Should we have more authority? Should more authority be placed in the hands of the MPs who we elect, as opposed to after we done elect all the MPs, the Prime Minister is the person in charge of the party that have the most seats in the House. And then the Prime Minister himself selects the cabinet. So he have a hand-picked cabinet. So shouldn't we have a system where the MPs, once election is over, and we now know who all the MPs are. Ain't nobody knows Prime Minister yet. Because the MPs now get together and elect a Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister could be from an independent party. He could be an independent person. Right? But if he carry that much weight, and he could rival enough people in the House of Assembly who we just elected, he could emerge as Prime Minister. Why shouldn't we have a system like that? Let them choose. Because now, see, we put each one of them there. And the one we put there, we could suggest to him who we want to be the Prime Minister. We want so-and-so. Put your vote to so-and-so. And he ain't going to listen to us, but if you don't, know what happen next time. So all I'm saying is to balance the scale a little bit. And I may be dead wrong. Right? I'm not a constitutional lawyer or any kind of lawyer, but I got common sense. Right? So any elected MP that the people put in the House can emerge as PM. Similarly, each cabinet minister can be elected by the new MPs within 24 hours of electing a prime. So they get together first and elect a prime minister. And then after they elect a prime minister, they all get together again over the next day and elect each minister. But of course, you can put yourself forward if you want to run a ministry. And you could be on what they say the opposition side today, because of course you'll have more people belonging to one party in the House. You still have party politics, you know. But you could have somebody from the other side who's strong enough emerge as a minister because he demand that much respect among his peers in the House of Assembly. What's wrong with that? Well, of course, for any of that to happen, the Constitution would have to be altered or changed or amended. And that can only be done by way of a memorandum where the people say, yes, this is what we want to do. So, only Glenn being saying this, what he think will be better. And there may be other areas that I can only think of what I think will be better, but other people got their own thoughts, right? And some other people have some even better ideas than that. How we could make our political system a little more stabilized and take some of the power out of the hands of one person. And I ain't saying that person power in their hands is wrong, but all I'm saying is, suppose that person decides to use that power in a way that is not consistent to the way the people really want. Like we have a situation in the US right now, right? With President Trump. He's wielding his power the way he sees fit. But he has checks and balances. He has the Congress that got to give approval to most things that are federal, and he have And I was listening to Mr. Shivago Lang talk about this today on his show. And I think he did a very good job. And I really got to commend him when I see him. And there's the Senate as well that have to approve certain things. Even if Mr. Trump said he wanted it to happen, he have to get it past those two houses. And right now he has the numbers in both those. But some people have conscience. And although they may be a Republican like Mr. Trump, they may decide, boy, I don't think this is a good idea, and vote against it. So that don't mean he get carte blanche. But anyway, that's the little politics we can talk. But we coming back right after our first break. So as you imagine, we are locked, we are loaded. We are heavily laden with information surrounding these timely topics. We're talking maritime people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break, and when we return, we will go a little deeper into our discussions. Listen, people, you don't want us to dial. I know we got some calls coming, and I'm looking forward to those.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
One world, one station. Love 97 FM Bahamas.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. In studio tonight, we are discussing a whole litany of how we can improve little maritime stuff, little immigration stuff. Oh, we ain't talking about immigration yet. Oh yeah, let's talk about immigration now. Little Porter's Key stuff and little constitutional stuff in the Bahamas to make it better. My producer for tonight, as usual, is Mr. Craig Gibson. And yes, he's handling things just the way we do it. Now, prior to going on the break, we discussed cruise ship ports to facilitate the emerging cruise ship market. Now, we know that the cruise ship market today, by the way, our number to call, if you want to on the show, you can reach us on 326-8255. That's 326-8255. Please, feel free to call in at any time during the discussion. I'll be more than happy to field your call. We discussed the cruise ship ports to facilitate the emerging cruise ship market. You know, the cruise ship market, they have like 3 or 4 huge cruise ships being built every year. And not many of them are being decommissioned or moving off the scene. So they have so many of them now, and they're looking for new places to go to. Because, you know, some of the old places, only so much ships they could hold. Like if we didn't expand Nassau Harbor. And these cruise lines are finding that some of these places around the world, like up in Alaska, they just had something last week at the south of France, Nice, is saying that we don't want no big cruise ships here. And of course, they taking action to stop them. Holland, you know, that nice place where they get the red light district and all that operations going on. They saying, we had enough cruise ship, we have enough people here, we don't need to flood it, you all stay away. And we here in the Bahamas, sitting on the doorstep of the 3 largest home cruise ports in the world, by far, bar none. Miami, Port Everglades, Port Canaveral. Each one of them have they accommodate almost 20 cruise ships. So that's like 50 to 60 cruise ships needing places to go every week. And every time they leave, they're looking at the Bahamas. So they go anywhere they get past us. But when they talk about the Bahamas, each one of them got their own port here. And then outside of their port, they only got Nassau and Freeport. You know, Freeport is Freeport is clean and it's nice and lovely and hardly no crime compared to Nassau and all that. But when they go in Freeport Harbor, they gotta hop in a cab to see anything. And there ain't much to see. Not these days. Now Freeport used to be the bomb back in the day. The Magic City wasn't easy. But it ain't magic no more. So we can't even count Freeport that well. So we say Nassau and their private keys, because there ain't much of them that's go to Freeport. But if the government, and I say no administration, and the government, whoever in the chair, would put cruise ship ports in each one of our family islands, that burgeoning cruise ship market will have a whole heap of new destinations. Because every single island is a new destination. And all these islands are unique in their own way. So, just like a cruise ship say, I go into the Eastern Caribbean, where I could go to, they choose their ports. We go to Martinique and Guadeloupe and St. Lucia. And we ain't stopping in Barbados this time. Trinidad ain't got nothing. Tobago got a little something, right? They choose 5 or 6 ports. Because, you know, sometimes the cruise ships operate out of Puerto Rico as their home port. And I remember my very first cruise. We had to fly to Puerto Rico in order to go to the Eastern Caribbean. Because the ships wasn't as fast as they are today. They wasn't as big and beautiful as they are today, right? So if you want to do the Eastern Caribbean, you start in Puerto Rico. You fly from Miami to Puerto Rico. And then you get on your cruise ship. And then they choose, according to how much nights your cruise is, which ports, because they're in a port every night, because, you know, those countries are very, very close. So our Bahamas could do what the Eastern Caribbean is doing as far as destinations is concerned. And the Bahamas itself would become a cruise ship destination all to itself. And that's how we need to roll with that. So, illegal immigration policies and practices. Again, we could speak of our good friend, President Donald Trump, and the things that he is doing right in front of all of the world, right in front of the eyes of the world, with illegal immigration matters in the U.S. And we know, you listen to the news, this is in the news as we speak. He's trying his best to send immigrants back to their country. He's decided that gone are the days when if a woman comes to America and have a child and she's not an American, and the child's father is not an American, the child is automatically an American citizen. No, he said, no, not no more. He made what you call them things what the presidents do, declaration or whatever he signed, to say that it ain't happening. You, the woman, have to be an American, or her husband got to be an American. I ain't say nothing but boyfriend. Husband got to be an American. Because if that child, especially if that woman is dead, she done overstay her time. She could have that child much as she like, but that child ain't gonna be no American. So, and a lot of us did it. And a lot of us like doing things like that. Going to the States and giving our child the opportunity to have the privileges that Americans have in America. So when it's time for them to go to college or university, they don't have to pay the amount of money the foreigners have to pay. They're in the system. They don't need no visa. They got a U.S. passport. And that's nice. And we kill it. We did it. But Mr. Trump is saying, gone are those days. I reach. And we don't know if it could be reversed. Because the next president could come in and he could reverse it. But he may not want to reverse it. But in any case, that's what Mr. Trump is doing. And he just reached. Now, we was going on for 50 years as an independent country. What are we doing? Should our focus be shifted from the abduction of illegal immigrants and going out there and finding them or going around the house and rounding them up and detaining them? Because we got, we call it the center where we detain them on off Michael Road there. They call it DC, Detention Center. So we abduct them, then we detain them in the detention center. Should we switch that to just enforcing illegal employment? Because see, in this country, we have an Immigration Act that says no employer should employ a non-Bahamian unless they have the requisite work permit. And then we have a government policy that says certain areas are reserved for Bahamians only, so they can't even get no work permit in them areas. And we see them all the time in the construction field and in some of these retail places like food stores and all the rest of that. And we know they ain't Bahamians. Well, we know they're not bona fide Bahamians. What do you call it? Not naturalized Bahamians. Organic. We know they're not organic Bahamians. And chances are they ain't got no work permit to work in those areas. Right? But nothing happens to the employer. So suppose our immigration department, instead of going on the road checking for the status of people who trying to go to work, because they can just go on those jobs. They know where they're going, Go on the jobs and seek them out and charge the owner who hired them. But make him, because the act says that if you hire them, you could be fined and jailed. So you could pay that, I think it's $4,500 fine per person. And that been on the books now from the Immigration Act was written. So why is it that we not, or do you know, you may call me, man, tell me, do you know, dear listener, any employer in this country who has ever been to court for hiring an illegal or an undocumented person? I don't think our immigration departments do it. Any immigration officers out there? Would an immigration officer please call Maritime Matters and let us know if they are aware of any employer in this country who has ever been charged in the court with hiring an undocumented worker. You can't tell me you ain't no plenty of them out there. And if you only believe they're out there, then go there and make the way. The onus is on the owner of the facility to prove that he's not breaking the law. Now what we do is we lock up the worker and put them in the detention center where we can feed them and keep security on them. And all this costing us money. And we need to do that because if you got 1,000 of them in the detention center, but on the outside, you got 80,000 of them. Or 180,000 of them. But I know how big the number is. We know it's a big, big number, right? What sense that make you got 1,000 lock up and feeding them every day? and got to keep security, all that costing us. So let's shut that detention center down. We don't need it. Shut it down. Let the people run wild. But don't let them wake. Anytime you think one of them waking somewhere and they ain't documented, lock up the owner. Put them in court. Make them pay that fine. And if you really want to be serious, send them to jail for 2 years or 2 days. By Foxhall Prison, you need 1 day in there. Jail them for 1 day. Just to let them know we serious. And fine them. Pay that $5,000 and go to jail for 1 day. And you will see the dominoes crumble. You will see how fast these foreign nationals, and I'm not only talking about Asians. We got them from all over the place. Not only Haiti and Jamaica and Philippines, we got them from all over the place. We got some of them in white collar. Right? So, let's lock up the employer. Charge the employer based on the Immigration Act. Make them pay that fine. And lock some of them up for 1 day. And you know what can happen? When those people realize it's difficult to get employed in the Bahamas because the employer is scared to hire them, they get elsewhere. And all these jobs that they doing for peanuts have to start paying the right amount of money to a Bahamian to do that job, because the cost of living is so high and they got their prices so high, they're making up all the money and paying peanuts. So there's a big disturbance and these owners taking advantage of these undocumented people to pay them peanuts while they're making all the profits. And people like me and you trying to do the right thing. Hurting. Well, I might be hurting, but boy, plenty I know hurting. Because we having difficulty finding a job to pay us the right amount of money for us to be able to survive in our own country. So it's undercutting the cutout. This taking advantage of undocumented people will cut out. These entities will now start to pay what they're supposed to pay for construction work to be done. What they're supposed to pay for a cashier. And everything will start to change in this country. But anyway, that's how I see the way forward. Like I say, we have many governments. Well, we only have one government, but many administrations that over time has demonstrated to us that they are lousy when it comes to addressing this immigration matter. Because they can't appoint a one business employer that they had before the courts for hiring undocumented migrants. The immigration officers, lousy. Because if you're an immigration officer and you know you was going to food store just like us, you just go to gas station just like us, you just have construction work done just like us. So you know these people are breaking the law by hiring these people. And it's your job as an immigration officer to address it. And I don't want to hear you talking the corporate thing, but, oh, you know, the politicians, these people got them in the pocket and this and that. I don't want to hear that foolishness. You as the immigration officer, let me see you go lock someone up. Or let me see you go charge somebody. And let the politician say, no, you can't charge that person. Or no, that person can't go to court. Because they ain't going to do it. So you have no excuse, Mr. or Mrs. or Miss or immigration officer. And I want one of y'all call the show so I can tell people what time it is. Call now, 326-8255, and let the country know why y'all can't get your job done if you can't get it done. Or why you refuse to do your job. inquiring minds would like to know. So we got to now apply the existing laws that provides for fining and jailing employers that hires illegals. Because if the illegal employment is alleviated in this country, undocumented personnel will have no desire to reside in the Bahamas anymore. They wouldn't even want to be here. Because if they can't work, why they want to be here? They ain't like us that much. You think they want to be with us when they could be with their family? You think they want to be with us when they could be in a country making more money and having more opportunities because they could work? People, let us get on our government. We only got one government. Let's get on the government, the administration in the chair. Not the one coming in or the one going out or the one who's there. No, we want to deal with it on an ongoing basis. We ain't waiting for no election to deal with y'all. We want to deal with y'all while y'all in the chair. We have a Minister of Immigration. We have a Director of Immigration. We have immigration officers. We have the Immigration Act. Why we can't make this happen? 326-8255. You all trying to get quiet on me? Call, man. Somebody call and say why these immigration people ain't arresting this situation. Why these employers, these business people, continue to get away with employing undocumented people while the law say they should be fined or jailed. I ain't trying to blame the people. Because if I go to the country and I could sneak a job without being documented and the authorities ain't checking, of course I'll do it. Why not? Oh, excuse me. Y'all get me shouting and screaming for nothing. Okay, I see one of the lines lit up. Calling you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Sir, we are listening to you. Good job. Keep up the good work. All the best.
Thank you so much, darling. Thank you so much. Well, we got somebody listening. That's good. Calling you on Maritime Matters. Hello. Nothing there, boss? I think that one must have hung up. I must have missed that. Thank you so much for that call, my lovely lady. You all are listening. Now, I want to know if some immigration officers listening. And you should be shamed. Because if I shame, my goodness, I used to be a defense force officer. And if we had situations happen, but let me tell you something. I used to feel so ashamed you go on some of them islands, and you know what they used to refer to us as? Defenseless force. But I used to get mad. Oh, the defenseless force reach. Why they refer to us as defenseless force? And they know we out there trying to get things done. I don't know, but let me get on the defense force for a second. While I was in the defense force, we had, when you go to sea, you basically, they tell you, okay, you do the Southern Bahamas, you do the Northern Bahamas, you go to the West and do the Bimini, and you basically do what you want. There's no checks and balances. You could just go there, drop anchor, and you sit in one area for 2 days. But you're not doing a quality patrol. Because when night come, you ain't want to move because you ain't want to wonder about the car. We had some fellas who were scared to go into port because they feel like they may run aground. And that thing is, I run the man boat, a grand anchor, promote me. They not concerned about getting any job done. If they see a boat behind a key, but they ain't gonna see it because they ain't checking no radar to begin with. But we used to be able to check radar, and you know where the keys are, and you see a little blip, then you know why the boat there. Boy, they must be doing something. You ain't see no light, you ain't see no anchor light, no kind of light. So you gotta go check that boat. But some COs, as we call them, commanding officers, were so scared of navigating because they just couldn't handle themselves when it come to navigation. They ain't going nowhere near that key. Told me they gotta check the boat out. Some of these guys had it so bad, and I told them captains of defense force boats, that they don't even want to board another vessel. Because they say, boy, if my boarding team moves up off that boat, then we got to write all kind of report, and that will reflect on me. And when promotion come around, they can remember that. That's how stupid they was. And I tell you they were stupid. Mind you, some of them was my boys now. They was all right, right? But we all in the Defense Force back then know who was scary, who wasn't doing proper patrols, who was going out there and getting the job done and trying to get the job done and wasn't afraid to do their work. And I know where I stand, so I can afford to talk about it. And I can tell you, nobody can call on this show and say Glenn Bain was scared to do his job. Because anybody who was on the force, when I was on the force, know that I ain't never scared. So, y'all immigration officers, I guess some of y'all scared. Y'all scared like how some of them Defense Force fellas were scared. Yeah, y'all knows y'all job. Yeah, y'all know some of these people is pay off certain people to get what they want. But you know what? You go there and you do your job. Either they have to pay more, or the person can tell them, but y'all better ease up now. I only can protect you so far. But some things will start happening. Especially if a group of immigration officers start doing their job. In this country, as far as I have seen, immigration officers, most of them believe their job is in office. And that's another thing we need to do. We need to get those uniform officers out of those offices and hire civilians to do those computer work and letters and community correspondence and that. We don't need uniform immigration officers in there checking for whether this person can get a work permit, seeing if all the criteria is in place. No, civilians can be doing that. Those officers need to be out there checking on these people who hiring undocumented people. They need to be in some of these areas where these undocumented people are building homes that are not in line with the building code. Those shanty towns and all the rest of that. And they could form a team with the people from Ministry of Works. Because immigration officers now can't gun. Back in my day, they was carrying baton and running fellas and getting clothesline in the back of the yard. But these days, these guys are far better trained. They can carry weapons. They be on the parade drilling. And, well, some of them a little too fat. But guess what? If they get out there and start doing some running up and down behind some, then they can be so fat, right? Anyway, I run it out, right? I just feel like we need to do something about this big problem we have in the line of immigration. Mind you, we had a lot of problems in this country. But we need the immigration officers. We talk so much about, these police, they that's on the take and they this and they that. No, but I mean, we see the police doing what they have to do, eh? In most cases, we see them responding when people violate the penal code. There may be times when they slow on following up on things. But usually when you call the police and tell them it's a serious thing, they can be there. But if you call immigration, I remember, let me tell you what I remember. I was working with the BMA as a ship inspector for 3 years. And this is like in the early 90s, right? Between 2001 and 2004, I was a senior nautical inspector at the BMA, just going around inspecting ships all over the place, right? And I had reason to be on Porter's Key dock quite a bit, because a lot of the mail boats and thing on Porter's Key, well, not a lot, some of them, like my good friend Tom Hanna and Marcus from Sandy Point. People who own some of the newer vessels. They wanted to go to the States every now and then to bring in freight from the States. Because nowadays they got quite a few of them going in and out of the States on a weekly basis, right? We got a lot of them, right? But back then we only had like the newer ones, because Coast Guard ain't gonna hold them hostage when they go to the States. Coast Guard don't play when they come to inspect your boat. You gotta have things in place. So we started this thing called a Caribbean Code, where the entire Caribbean decided we'll get together along with the Coast Guard and create a code with all the requirements for a vessel that want to trade with the U.S. or even with the neighboring countries, right? It only applied to vessels that are going from one country to another country. Excuse me, need some water again. So this Caribbean Code put teeth into vessels going to trade with Florida. And a lot of vessels that used to trade with Florida couldn't go no more because they couldn't meet the safety standards. You know, you needed to have the right type of safety equipment like life raft and enough life jackets. Well, they usually have the life jackets, but the EPIRB and the radio equipment and the load line tightening, you know, you don't want no seals leaking on hatches and stuff like that. You had to dry dock your vessel at least once every 5 years, and all these things was being applied by way of being a holder of a valid Caribbean Code certificate. So I would inspect many of those vessels to issue that certificate and to make sure they're okay to be going in and out of the state. And anytime they get detained over there, they would call me to talk to Coast Guard to get them off. And then, you know, I did that quite a bit, and I was good at it. It was my thing, because I really knew the Caribbean Code, just the way I know the ISPS code and stuff now, right? But while I was doing all of that, I realized that most of these ships started to bring in foreign people to work as captains, because we didn't have many captains that were qualified under the STCW code. We had a lot of people with A and B license, and a lot of people think that A and B license saying something. I ain't saying nothing. I can explain what that's all about, right? But once you get certified under the STCW code as a master of a vessel under 500 gross tons, or a master of 1,600 gross tons or 3,000 gross tons, whatever, then you're good now to take a vessel anywhere in the Caribbean basin. So we got some people coming in from some of those other countries to make up the numbers, because, you know, we had boats who wanted to go. They couldn't find qualified captains. And in many cases, I would take some of the boats for them because I had a certification for 3,000 gross tons. I would take some of the boats for them and fly back, because once they're there, they could always come out without me. But in doing all of this, I realized how our maritime fleet started to get really infested with foreigners, captains, mates, engineers, you name it, because you had to have certified people, and it was needed in those days. But eventually, what happened was they started to get deckhands who were foreign and started to replace the Bahamians, because two things happened for them. When they got the foreign deckhand, that person lived on board the ship. When they had the Bahamian, he lived on board the ship until the ship reached Nassau. Then he got on the other home. So the foreigners would maintain security on the vessel. They'll be waking and upkeeping the vessel better. But of course, I don't think it's fair to compare a Bahamian with a foreigner in the Bahamas doing a job like a deckhand. It ain't fair to us. That's like saying, in the construction field, we could bring in 200 Mexicans, and we could put them in a complex, and we can go out there trying to build people house and get out just using these Mexicans. That's it. And then you ain't using no people. How would that be fair to the Bahamian contractors who, first of all, live here and they got to pay bills here? You see that Mexican guy who you could put on that job? He ain't got no bills to pay here because you done put him up in a house and feeding him. And although he making half of what that Bahamian was going to make, he's sending his money home to build his apartment in Mexico. So how is that helping the Bahamas? But this, people, is what we get going on in our country right now. A whole heap of foreigners taking charge of our jobs. And the employers are taking advantage of them by paying them less. And their work ethics are different because in the Bahamas we take it easy, man. We on a chill, eh? But in that country they get hustled so hard to get a job. They got that hustling instinct. And they come here and they put us to shame. But we shouldn't have to be faced with getting put to shame because we shouldn't have no foreigners in our country vying for the same jobs. Especially when the government say our policy is that this job is for Bahamians only. You know, foreigners supposed to be on no mailboat. Even if you going to the States. Okay, that's an international trip. You could have foreigners. But now when it's time for you to do a trip in the Bahamas and all of y'all is doing, that foreigner is illegally employed. So you need to have two boats where you keep the foreigners getting in and out of the States, but that same crew, don't wait domestically in the Bahamas. Don't take freight to Nassau or nowhere else, or from someplace else to someplace else. No, that's wrong. That's violation of the Immigration Act. So let's get it right. So we want Porter's Key, and we're going right back to Porter's Key. We talking about immigration aid. Yeah, we finished in immigration. We're back to Porter's Key. That's immigration too. We didn't want no illegal immigrants on our local boats, right? I wouldn't talk about the fishing boats. Oh my goodness. The fishermen them who, I remember we had this big crisis with the fishing world where they had a lot of Dominicans coming in, getting married to Bahamian women, and they started to do the local fishing thing. They taking over these fishing boats and they going in areas and wiping out all the fish. And then eventually our fishermen got distraught and discouraged. And it was a big problem. And I think there was one or two ministers of fisheries who decided we could address it. And then when the government changed, another one coming and say, oh, we can leave it alone. And then it was just a bunch of pushing and pulling. But it was not fair to the Bahamian fishermen to be competing with a foreigner in fishing. And a lot, not only that the men were coming and working, a lot of boat owners were looking for them. And they know it was wrong, but I guess they say, I need an edge, I can get an advantage. These fellas, when they go, they work left, right, and center, and I gotta pay them too much money and this and that and the next. And that's just wrong. Just wrong. So we got another 10, 15 minutes, almost 15 minutes left. So in that case, we'll take our second break. My goodness, I had 2 breaks in a long time, but I'll take a second break tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. And, on this show, we talk maritime. But we're talking a lot of other stuff tonight. So if you want in on the discussion, and it's a big-time discussion going on here, 326-8255 is the number to call. We'll be standing by for your call. Please do call in with your input. And we shall be back shortly.
At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection. At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
Off the CD player, through the console, into the transmitter, out of the tower, through your speakers, through your ears. Nothing but hits.
Love 97.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again, watching the tide.
Be back. You're tuned in to Maritime Matters. I'm your host, Captain Glenn Bain. You're listening to Love 97, and my producer for the night, Mr. Craig Gibson. Boy, we down to what? 10 minutes-ish? 10 minutes-ish. If you want in on this show to share in our discussions, the number to call is 326-8255. 326-8255. We've been covering, so far, almost everything. Cruise ship ports to facilitate the emerging cruise ship market. We were talking about how MSC Cruises purchased and renovated, outfitted Ocean Key as their private island for their cruise ships. And it's such a lovely place now, and the passengers have such a lovely time. And we said that Morgan's Bluff has the capacity to do a very similar conversion, because that was a bulk facility. Well, they carried water, but they have deep harbor. They have turning basin that could be expanded a bit more. The dock could be extended a bit more. And they could have 2 cruise ships in there any given day. Okay, we got a call on the line. Calling you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, Glenn Bain, how you doing today?
Hey, what do you say, General? Man, I in top shape and getting better all the time. What you doing up? How you doing up there in 8 Mile Road?
Hey, listen, you got a good show going on, and there's a lot of things that need to be said. You know, the Bahamas is right now at the present time being plundered by factory ships that is roaming around on the Atlantic side of these islands. And certain people know, and they ain't doing nothing about it. We want to know, why are these things happening?
Yeah, I agree. What you doing about fishing ship? What type of ships?
Factory ships that stay here, come in close in the nighttime and move in the international waters in the daytime. And they just plundering. You know, ships just come to pick up the stuff and carry away. Come to pick it up, carry away. The mothership here doing foolishness all the time.
But they carry away fish? What are they coming for?
Yes, sir, plundering our waters with these big jag nets and things.
Oh, those long liners.
Long liners, long draggers. Net. Anything that go in the net, bro, they trawling.
So how do you think we can arrest such a situation if they know what
Listen,
to
the defense force will call and they play crazy.
You think the defense force know what to look for?
They play crazy. I telling you, they play crazy. Up around the back of Venezuela, they play crazy. Foreigners see it and they call and they tell the fishery officer, the officer call the defense force and say how you know where it was and all kind of stuff like that. They didn't do their job.
So I know defense force and police have aircraft. Could they do surveillance?
They do their job. These boats are here all the time. I mean, we got fishermen down in Spanish Wells and in different places. See these boats doing the foolishness, but we need to put a stop to this, bro. I mean, especially when the grouper is spawning and things like that. I mean, these guys just dropping these big nets and fishing the deep oceans.
Could it be?
All right?
Could it be?
Now, I see the United States the other day just added some more territory to their waters. I mean, off the Atlantic side. We need to do that because there's a lot of natural resources spread out in the ocean for us to have on our belt when that time comes.
Yeah, but we already have a 200-mile economic.
It don't matter, Glenn. We can still use more. You know what I mean? Because from here to Africa is a long distance. We could apply for more to put under the Bahamas belt.
Yeah, but they may be in our waters, what we already have.
Listen,
according to what you said, they gotta come to the drop off. You know, they can't, if they're out in the ocean, they ain't gonna catch much. They gotta come near the drop off in order to get a good catch.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
guess what? Them deep waters, you know what I mean, still gonna be useful in time to come because you have to send machines down there to mine our water. You know what I mean? If it's further than so deep, you know, we still need the water score.
Okay, King Ara, let me tell you what our challenge used to be, right? When I used to patrol the waters, right? Our challenge sometimes used to be communicating with the fishermen. Like they had their own frequency, we had our own frequency, but we were never able to directly communicate with them. Because if those fishermen out there could directly call the Defense Force boats that is on the sea, and they could continue communicating, then the Defense Force, they could monitor what's going on until the Defense Force would reach on the scene, right? And I'm just saying that because I know that was a problem we had back in the day where the communication, like most of those fishermen, they communicate with each other. But Defense Force never listening to the fishing boat. They was not linked in to the fishing boat communication system.
That's fishing on the flats. I talk about fishing on the ocean now.
It doesn't matter. You said to me.
This is where we need some expertise.
No, but you said to me that fishermen see them out there.
Huh?
You said some of our fishermen just come across them and see them out there.
No, they see them out there. You can see them from shore. You can see them from shore. You can see them off the land.
No, so that's not the fishermen.
You got second owners and calling in and asking what's going on out there. You know what I mean? You know, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, but if you could see them from land, you still need to kind of identify where they are. Now, if you could see them from land, then obviously you need to send a plane out there to do some reconnaissance. And then, time as a boat get to that area, the fella may be gone.
Listen, the authorities will call and they play crazy.
No, but you gotta understand.
Okay, someone had a GPS to make it see where the authority was. And the authority said they down and they was in there.
King Ara. Let me
tell you what the authority asked the person who had the GPS, how you know where we at? This technology, man, we can see where you at.
King Ara, let me just give you an experience I had, right? I was in Eleuthera right after hurricane. I think it was it what David? But hurricane had come through North Eleuthera, man.
Andrew.
Alright, right after Andrew, I came and I was in a 108-foot yellow elder, and we were in Hatchet Bay. I got a call on my second day in Hatchet Bay, and I was the captain, to leave Hatchet Bay with all dispatch, go down to the Quinchos Keys. No, they sent me down to the Columbus Pipes, right? They said they had a Bahamian fisherman in a shootout with a foreigner. And I went with all dispatch, left, gone down there, but it take me a day to get there.
All right.
And time as I got there, just before we got on the scene, I think something went wrong underneath. Something must be my shaft, something drop off, right?
Hey, listen, you know what we really need? We need a couple of little small boats with 200 horsepower on, and then to be with the Defense Force boat, and then so that we could, we need a force like how the American Coast Guard and MSD. Alright?
So we need to move from shore in a speedboat.
We can't just be in one big boat and I hear you talking about in back of the keys, boat in back of the keys and captain them if they had to go in. Put the Defense Force inside a small boat and go and protect our waters, man. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous what's going on.
Yeah, but we doing that all the time. We got Defense Force got a lot of small boats where they going out there and patrolling.
Yeah, but they scared of. They're scared of ghosts, then they don't need to be Defense Force. They need to be home.
No, sir, we ain't never scared. All I'm saying to you is you need to understand how vast this country is.
All right.
You got a small boat in one area, and you got something 300 miles away in another area. No, but I mean, we got to look to set up something where we could have like they trying to do bases in certain places so that the boats could be already out there and it wouldn't be have to come from NASA to try to go to certain areas.
Yeah, well, these fellas better stop from thinking it's just a job. I mean, it's just something to do, and take it for what it means. All right? Because guess what? We need them.
King
And
Otto,
they need us.
King Otto, I
Protect
thank
us,
you.
what I mean, to protect our natural resources. Because let me show you, man, right now, there's enough natural resources in these islands, in this Bahamas, for everyone in the Bahamas to be a rich person. Why can't we tell them that we want our things now? Don't let someone tell you, say you need a job. We don't need a job. We need to make jobs for people. Okay? That's what we really need to do. We need to be entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
there's enough here for us to get something out of the pot. Right now, you see they do the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They turn the Sovereign Wealth Fund into a development fund. I don't know what is going on. Somebody tell me what's going on. I can hang up and I can let you talk to me.
Yes, sir. Hang up and let me talk to you. King Otto is hot. King Otto is saying that we have enough resources in this country so that every Bahamian can be rich. You know, I heard that lyric a lot of times. I don't know what resources we have to make Bahamians rich. The only countries I know that have sovereign wealth fund and their sovereign wealth fund makes their people rich is the oil-rich countries like Saudi Arabia, Norway, countries like that, Dubai. They're the countries that have a sovereign wealth fund that their people get money from every year, and it's a handsome amount of money. Now, I don't ever know Bahamas got no oil. Now, Singapore does it as well. But Singapore ain't doing it from oil. They're doing it from the proper running and management of their country. Stamp out corruption and make a hub for a lot of businesses to want to invest. We ain't gonna do that either. Right? So my thing is, what are we gonna do? We can't have even if we have a sovereign wealth fund, what are we going to make the money from? Aragonite ain't going to do it. Because Ocean Key mine Aragonite for decades. And then at the end of the day, they sell the key to AES with quick speed because they feel like it wasn't profitable. Right? AES bought the key. 2 years later, they left because they wanted to set up a natural gas thing and send it into Florida. But when the government over there changed, they didn't want that no more. And so, what happened? Some Bahamians bought the key from them. And they started to mine Aragonite, just like Marconi Industries used to. And then they realized, boy, money in this thing. I don't know where these people get from talking about Aragonite is money and this and that. When they realized how much it costs to maintain those equipment and how much the equipment costs to dredge and do this and do that, they realized it didn't make no sense, right? So, they then sold the key to who? MSC, who now using the key as a cruise ship destination. So, forget Aragonite. Forget sand. There's nothing we have to make all the Bahamians rich that the world needs or the world wants. See, the world needed that fuel. The world wanted that fuel. What do we have that the world is knocking on our doors for? We thought we had carbon credits, Rafa. And we had carbon credits. We do not have carbon credits. We have carbon being absorbed by our seabed meadows. But it was decided by the world at the United Nations that they are only going to pay when you take carbon or stop the emission of carbon. So they're not going to pay in because you have something in your country absorbing the carbon of the environment. Because that could happen, that could be happening forever and it was happening so far forever. That ain't gonna never stop, right? What they're paying for is when you mitigate the emission of carbon. Now, how is the Bahamas mitigating the emission of carbon? Somebody needs to tell me. What we could do, we ain't doing, which is revert to solar fully and cut out all this fossil fuel because we got plenty sun to provide plenty energy and everybody can be saving money. Plus, that small degree of mitigation from fossil fuel to solar our country will be getting carbon credits for. So I don't understand. Anyway, my time will run out. Lord, look at a minute gone. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. We have reached the end of our show. I want to say good night to my good old Annie Mae up here in Freeport. 91 years and going strong, and she is not easy. I want to thank my producer, Mr. Craig Gibson, for keeping things ticking and talking. I want to thank my callers, for checking me every now and then. I want to thank my sponsors for keeping the show alive. That's Bahamas Maritime Connection, 101 Pharmacy, Island Care Pharmacy. And you, ladies and gentlemen, my dear listener, I want to thank you for continuing to tune in and listen to Maritime Matters. And with that, as always, I say to you, Maritime Matters. Out.
I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for, look like nothing's gonna come my way. So